itong sa gobyerno, people working in government have really work that which is very crucial to governance, lalo na ngayon. So yung sila, gipit sa panahon at tinatawag, doon ako nag-object. Bahala kayo kung anong gawin nyo dyan sa parmalin na yan. So yung mga parmalin dyan na hindi nagbayad, dapat talaga pabayarin yan. Kung hindi nagbayad ng taxes, they can all go to prison. Problema nila yan. Ang aking problema yung mga tao ko lang sa gobyerno. Kaya doon lang ako nag-object. Kasi por respeto sana, wala naman ng respeto itong tao na ito. Alam nila may trabaho yan si Secretary Duque, pati Secretary. Alam nila that we're dealing with COVID and you treat us like wala tayong pakialam sa iba. Yung sa amin na pa hindi bumabayad, ay ikulong ninyo yan. May patbus nyo, patayin pa ninyo. Wala may pakialam.
The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Vice President Leni Robredo remains unfazed with her own presidential bid despite the changes in the political plans of the presidential siblings. Robredo was referring to Sara Duterte's withdrawal of her re-election bid as Davao City Mayor, paving the way for current Vice Mayor Baste Duterte to be his sister's substitute in the mayoralty race. This leaves the door open for speculations on Sara also potentially gunning for president as a substitute ahead of the November 15 deadline. Robredo says this move does not affect her own campaign, noting that this could further highlight the will of the Filipino people.
I don't think it will affect us at all. If at all, when that happens, the lines will be clearer. The way things are turning out now, yung groundswell is making the campaign really not a campaign but a people's movement. And as I have said earlier, that history has also always shown us that no amount of resources, political power, machinery can really topple the will of the people.
Meanwhile, attorney Bruce Rivera, an ally and close friend of Sara Duterte, says the mayor is more likely to launch her potential national campaign with Lakas CMD or join the camp of former Senator Bongbong Marcos. This instead of joining her own father's party mates in PDP Laban. Rivera, however, notes that it's all speculative at this point.
What I heard was that I think it's GMA who is brokering that notion that it's going to be under Lakas CMD. And, everything is just speculative at this point. And, for me personally, I really don't care what party, honestly, for as long as she runs.
Presidential aspirant Vice President Leni Robredo says she wants to abolish the NTF-ELCAT. Robredo said she is concerned that the authority granted to the task force will be abused. She likened it to the deadly drug war that killed thousands of poor Filipinos. And Robredo added that there are other avenues to address insurgency issues and that a purely militaristic approach will not provide a long-term solution to the problem.
There is really a duplication of many efforts, the duplication of the mandate. It has to be abolished. Ang pinakatakot ko dito is that magiging tokhang ulit ito in the sense that the mandate given to the body will be abused, will be used to harass people.
Meanwhile, Senator Ping Lacson, who earlier backed the task force but later on said he regretted doing the same, says he supports the NTF-ELCAC's budget cut. Recall that senators have slashed the task force's budget by 24 billion pesos, leaving them with a 4 billion peso budget in 2022. He added that if the task force had misused their funds, the officials concerned must be made liable. President Duterte urges the COMELEC to give candidates in the 2022 elections space to campaign safely. In last night's talk to the people, the president said that COMELEC should address the safe conduct of campaigns and other election-related gatherings. He also said that some candidates do not have the machinery to back costly television advertisements.
I'd like to remind the COMELEC that you must give the candidates really the space and the whatever modality is there. Because there can never be an election without a campaign. Some candidates cannot afford the expense of the TV exposures.
The use of face shields has been a long-standing issue in the country. But before the interagency task force finally decides on this, the health department is proposing an alternative, the use of safety goggles. Romel Lopez reports.
In the crowded streets of Divisoria, face shield seems to be unnecessary. If somebody's sporting one, chances are it is worn as a headband. Same goes at the vicinity of LRT station in Oroceros. Pedicab driver Caner, who was once fined for not wearing one, says its scrapping has been a long time coming.
Mas maganda sir, nagaling sir. Kasi ako tinikita na nga doon Dala na ako.
Getting rid of it might mean lesser sales for vendors like Laika, but she admits.
Ikaw ba mismo sa tingin mo, dapat tayo naka-face shield?
Kung ano naman talaga sa sarili natin, kaso lang minsan sa gabal.
Mayor Isko Moreno is firm that non-mandatory wearing of face shield in the city stands, despite the pushback from the palace. But he finds a supporter in Interior Secretary Eduardo Año, who says local chief executives can nix the face shield rule. But he says a formal policy would still be better.
But for those LGUs na nasa low risk, I will not hold it against them. Pero maganda, ipo-formalize natin yan through IATF resolution.
If the health department had it their way, an additional layer or protection is still better. But compromise may be made depending on the alert level.
Siguro, voluntary by and large, pagka sa alert level 2. Pagka nagtaasan na naman ang kaso, okay? So, pwede natin gawin mandatory sa alert level 3 and 4. No? So, may mga ganon flexibility dapat.
The DOH is also not closing its door on the possibility of using goggles as an alternative for the face shields.
Naandyan po yan. Pag-usapan natin with experts and then we will provide appropriate recommendations to the IATF.
The IATF is set to revisit the use of face shields on Thursday. Pending that, the Metro Manila Council remains confident that its recommendation to discard the face shield in non-medical and public transportation settings would be approved. For News 5, Romel Lopez. We are One News.
The government is eyeing to lift the mandatory use of face shields in areas under alert levels 1 and 2, except in public transportation. Health Secretary Francisco Duque says this move was recommended by the government's technical advisory group of experts for COVID-19. The Health Secretary says they want the use of face shields to be voluntary in community settings in areas under alert levels 1 and 2. That includes Metro Manila. But he notes that the final recommendation will still have to go through IATF deliberations.
Ito po ay padadaanin muna sa IATF bago po namin sumite for your approval, Mr. President. So sa Thursday po, magkakaroon ng pagpupulong ang IATF at kabilang po sa agenda niya ang pagdinig at pag-approve ng rekomendasyon ng ating Technical Advisory Group of Experts patungkol po sa paggamit ng face shield.
Heavy traffic along EDSA is back as the government continues to ease mobility restrictions. With this in mind, is it finally time to also bring back the number coding scheme? Gerard De La Peña with the story.
Forever is back in EDSA. Since Metro Manila eased to alert level 2, heavy traffic along the major thoroughfare has neared pre-pandemic level. Daily vehicle volume now averages 400,000, just 5,000 vehicles shy of how it was prior to the health crisis. This prompted the MMDA to once again consider reimposing the number coding scheme. But this time, only during rush hour from 7 to 9 a.m. and 5 to 7 p.m.
very crucial ito dahil nakita naman natin nung nag-alert level, talagang grabe, naglabasan ng tao. Whatever it is, talaga dapat paghandaan ito.
Motorists are split.
Pwede naman sir kung makakaluwag ba ng traffic yun eh. Okay lang yan.
Parang hindi rin ganun kaakma sir ngayon. And syempre lahat kanya-kanyang paraan din para makaiwas na sa number coding. So yung volume ng sasakyan talagang medyo alanganin pa rin sir mabawasan.
A possible return of the scheme might also mean higher ridership in public transportation. Transport groups are now asking the government to allow 100% passenger capacity in PUVs.
Maganda naman po yung naging resulta nung pagtaas ng seating capacity sa 70%. Medyo nakakabawi po kahit papaano. Sana nga po 100% na dahil vaccinated naman na po halos ang 88% dito sa NCR.
Authorities are also considering to improve the Pasig River ferry system to help ease traffic congestion. The MMDA has opened the Kalawaan Station in Pasig City, bringing the total number of ferry stations along Pasig River to 12. Fares are free for now.
Kung papansinin po natin, yung ridership ng MMDA River Ferry mula 2020 hanggang 2021, times 5 na yung ridership. So nakaka-encourage po yung mga bilang na ito.
The MMDA is slated to open 2 more stations soon, one in Quinta and another in Marikina. For News 5, Gerard De La Peña, We Are One News.
Here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. With Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte withdrawing her COC for re-election, speculations of a BBM-Sara tandem resurface, and an ally close to the presidential daughter reveals that that's actually a possibility. Just days before the deadline for substitutions for the 2022 elections, Senator Bongo hints at his possible withdrawal from the VP race. And Vice President Leni Robredo hits back at Bongbong Marcos, who is pushing her to pull the plug on the petition to cancel his COC. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us again later at 10:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.